collected the data, now what? And there are a lot of exciting ways to leverage the data. And Travis and Jennifer have really exciting and creative ideas. But no matter what your creative project is that you're working on, chances are it has to begin with some not so exciting stuff. And that's the housework or the foundation work. If you were going to redecorate your house and you have a nice project in mind, chances are there are going to be sweeping and scrubbing and just kind of miserable tasks that you have to do at the beginning. And at the worst, it might be repairs or even demolition. So next slide. I thought I'd just start off with a quote from the inimitable Irma Bombeck, because nobody really gets excited about housework, and the prep work and cleaning can be something that we're not looking forward to, so we might as well just start off smiling about it. Next. So as you begin your assessment, there are some really basic criteria that you want to look at with the email addresses that you have. And obviously deliverability is the main one. You don't want to be using any bouncing or invalid addresses. And you probably also want to see some engagement and activity. Typos are a fact of life, and sometimes there are ways to correct the typos and fat finger mistakes that are going to get into your list and could lead to data problems. And finally, there are addresses that are deliverable. When they go through a ping or an electronic SMTP check, they're going to come back as, yes, these are deliverable, but they're not best practice, and they could potentially be toxic or create reputation problems for you. So next. So just because an email address doesn't bounce, that doesn't mean it's good. I don't know, I could say this 10 times because it's really important. A simple ping might tell you that an email address is deliverable, but these are the kinds of email addresses that you might have in your list that could lead to a number of different issues, and they're going to affect whether your messages make it to the inbox. Next. So one category is deliverable but bogus. And so these are just simply made up email addresses. They're bad. They're usually stuck in there to get past some kind of a website gate. They might be deliverable, in a lot of cases they are, but the people who leave these kinds of addresses obviously have no interest in hearing from you, nor do they have an expectation of hearing from you. So even if these addresses pass a deliverability ping, they're going to drive down your overall performance metrics. And it's a huge waste of your resources, and you definitely want to get them out of the list. Next. So deliverable but disposable email addresses. Again, sometimes somebody needs to get past a website gate, maybe to download some content. There's some kind of a response requirement. And a person who uses a disposable email address to get through that step, again, is not somebody who has any interest in long-term engagement with you, and they're not somebody that you want to have on the marketing list. So it's good to eliminate those addresses from your lists. Next. So deliverable, but a role account. So this is kind of a gray area. These are deliverable email addresses, business addresses, but they're not personal. So there's a risk associated with these addresses because they might be shared addresses, or the contact that you are emailing could leave that role and move on to another job. So you are trying to get to a certain intended recipient, but other people could receive it and they can mark it as spam, or they could unsubscribe, and it can have a negative effect on your sender reputation. But again, it's a gray area. If you're a B2B marketer, there might be a business case for keeping this kind of subscriber. If not, assess the risk and ask yourself, is this likely to lead to a sale, donation, engagement, something positive? Next. So deliverable but spam trap. Now this is really, when I talked about toxic emails, this is it. Spam trap addresses are deliverable addresses, but they're getting delivered to the different policing organizations that are set up to help ensure that deceptive and criminal spam emails are not getting into our inboxes. So when a marketer sends an email to a spam trap address, it's considered spam. So that means it's a demerit. And if you exceed this threshold of and get too many of these demerits, you risk being blocked or blacklisted. And it can be really complicated and difficult and painful to get yourself back on the good list again. Legitimate marketers end up getting caught up in spam traps for a few different reasons. A common reason is that an email address that became inactive was considered abandoned by the provider and then recycled into a spam trap. Or retired email domains can become spam trap domains. Again, they're recycled. And typos, many typo domains have been acquired by these policing organizations. So you as a marketer might expect that a problematic email address is going to bounce, but a spam trap never bounces. It's intended to be a deliverable email address, and it's a huge caveat for you. Make sure that you have a way of eliminating those from your list. So next. So how does it look? You've done the cleaning part of the prep work, and now you kind of need to take a look around and see if there are repairs to make or holes to patch. Are your databases complete? Are they ready to segment for your creative targeting? When Travis was talking, he mentioned getting all your marketing channels to work together, but to do that might require some de-siloing. So missing pieces that you might have found in that initial process can sometimes be filled in, and appending is a way to do it. But if you do that, be sure it's really careful and conservative appending that you're doing. If you've done a great job collecting email addresses, you could do a reverse or postal append to help you fill in the names and addresses of your email recipients. Or conversely, an email append can help you match email addresses to your customers when you only have the name and postal information. Another strategy is ECOA, or email change of address, to help you find new preferred email addresses when the email addresses that you have are bouncing or inactive. So it's filling in the blanks can help you complete the data records for each customer and streamline the communications and move forward with very successful programs.